Welcome to the show, the Sandwich Chamber Forum, usually hosted by Joe Arnao, and we decided to turn the tables on him today and interview him about his life and his career and his family. Welcome, Joe.
Thanks, Chris.
We don't know much about you. We've heard a lot about you from your interviews of other people and working with the Sandwich Chamber of Commerce, and we're both members of the chamber. So tell us a little bit about your family and about yourself, about your background.
Sure. We moved to Sandwich. I'm from Boston originally. Used to camp down here at Peters Pond Park. Always loved it. We were married, living up in Canton, about to have our first child, and we were introduced to this house in Sandwich. It was a brand new house, wasn't occupied yet, and told my in-laws introduced it to us. I'm like, we can't do this. I don't even want to look at it. So, all right, we'll look at it. We were actually moved in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Closed and done. It was perfect. So that was about 17 years ago. And at the time, I was commuting off Cape. I was working for Eastman Kodak. So Sandwich is a pretty good launching spot for commuting. And my territory at the time was Rhode Island. So it wasn't a bad commute. And we kept doing that for a while, and then got into a couple other, worked for Honeywell for a little while. My last job before real estate was I was working for an IT service company. I was selling IT services to schools, governments, other businesses, and it was going pretty well. My wife was working with her father's real estate development business, and saw an opportunity for me to possibly join and get into the real estate business. So I did that. I did some research, figured out how I could help him grow his business, help him make some more money, and help me make money in the real estate. And that was fun. It was a development company, and we had projects from Eastham on the Cape up to Newfound Lake in New Hampshire, all the way to Westerly, Rhode Island.
Wow.
So I was back on the road again. The idea was to work on the Cape, but that didn't work too long. But it was fun during the ski season. I was doing all my research during the winter up in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
It worked out pretty well.
During the summer on the Cape.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good life.
Yeah. And then, let me just finish that up. And then the market tilted, as we know. In 2006, we really starting to taper off. And having all my eggs in one type of product, one business, I decided I needed to expand and get into full-service real estate. And that's where I am now.
Oh, okay. All right, that's interesting. So you have a pretty good technical background.
Well, somewhat. Very much interested in the internet and that. And my technology side, when I was in the IT services, was more on the sales capacity. So I only had to know enough to be dangerous, and then bring in the experts for the rest.
Okay. All right. Learning to use it for business. That's good.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in the development world, you were doing permitting and construction and the whole thing?
Absolutely. From putting the deal together, which was a great experience, working with lenders, just crunching numbers and seeing if properties were going to work, all the way to the permitting process for condo conversions. We did quite a bit of those, and we did one project where we went from a motel, which is actually, I'm marketing this now again, which is kind of nice. We took a West Harwich Motor Lodge, and we purchased that. And then I took it through the whole permitting process. It took us about a year, which I thought was pretty good because it is sitting on a marsh.
That is pretty good.
Yeah, it's in the marsh. It was a reclaimed marsh, so we had a lot to go through, tons of research and engineering.
Right.
But it was fun. I was a project manager on that, and I put all the team together, and we pushed it through pretty well. And now I'm back marketing that again. We sold it off. After we tore down the building, sold it off, and now I'm back marketing, which is kind of nice to see.
So that same owner is now selling it through you?
Well, actually, it's a different owner.
Oh,
There was some trouble in between.
Okay.
It took a few years, and a new owner came in May, purchased it, and he's well funded, and they're coming together beautifully. Really nice.
And is it a motor lodge, or is it now condos?
No, now they're 13 condos, all overlooking the water. Real nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
So that's kind of full circle there, but it's nice.
Sure. Yeah, that's a pretty broad range of skill sets.
Yeah, and it comes in handy a lot because I work with developers or investors, people who want to buy and fix and flip or buy and hold.
Right.
And I can really help evaluate the project for them.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'll bet. But primarily, are you doing residential at this point?
Yes.
So
yes.
you're a full-service agent selling residential and helping people buy residential properties?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, listing and marketing properties as well as working with buyers and helping them get into homes.
Okay. All right. And are they in Sandwich?
We're in Sandwich. I live in Sandwich, so we do some
Right.
business in Sandwich. But we cover. There's a team. I have a team, so we're covering from our most recent listings out. Probably Brewster was the furthest we've had listings. We did Truro for a little while. That was a little bit much, but we can handle Brewster, Orleans pretty easily. And I've done deals out to Wareham and Plymouth.
Okay.
So we cover a pretty good amount of ground. We do a lot in Mashpee, Barnstable.
But you're not going up to New Hampshire this winter?
I will be, but only with skis on a roof. That's it.
Good, good. And so who's on your team? Tell us about your team a little bit.
Well, you probably wouldn't know them. They're not from Sandwich. They're Kim Christensen is my main. She's full-time with me, and she lives out in Dennisport, so she covers that end of the world.
Yep.
We actually cover each other quite a bit.
Yep.
And then I have Carolyn Indavaji and Ken Grady.
Okay.
And their participation is a little bit less, but between Kim and I, we're covering most of it.
Wow. Yeah, I bet. That sounds pretty busy.
It is. It is. Well, a lot of it's so automated now. And so internet-driven that it works pretty well. When we need help, we have marketing help that I can bring in to do some of the rote stuff that I don't want to spend time doing.
I got to look at, before we tape this, I got to look at your network of websites. You have about 12 of them, right? So what's the strategy? Can you talk about that a little bit? What are you doing?
Sure.
Because,
sure.
I mean, it looks great. There's a lot of great information there, and you're doing videos on YouTube and all kinds. And are those weekly updates you're doing?
I do, yeah. I do. I believe strongly in enjoying what you do and having fun with it. And those YouTube videos are a really fun way for me to reach out to people and not only educate them on what's going on in the market, but have them get to know me. Being on the Cape, we're often working with buyers that are in other states.
Sure, from New York or whatever, yeah.
The bridge of having these YouTube videos out there helps them get to know me, for good or worse, whatever, better or worse, however it works. If they keep watching, then I'm probably in good shakes. But and I can document it actually. I had one guy. He got to know me. He's North Carolina, and he stuck with me. I stuck with him. We stuck together for a little over a year, just going back and forth, talking and trying to work it out. He finally moved up here, and we knew each other by the time he showed up. And it's great. And again, it's educational too. I give market reports every week, and I give the monthly wrap-ups, and they're quick too. They're pretty much right after the month closes, so people that if they're that interested in the market, they can see what's happening.
Yeah, I saw that 2 or 3 minutes, and so a bunch of information all at once, and some market information, and some history of what's going on with your company, and they're nice. They're really good.
I try to have fun. The non-real estate tip of the week.
The non-real estate tip of the week.
Try to get a little offhand there, but it's fun.
No quotes from movie musicals or anything like
Not
that.
yet.
But you're getting there.
Maybe.
So you do all this. How do you have time? I mean, you have a family, right? You have a young family.
But the other teenage boys.
Teenagers.
I have a 17-year-old, a senior, and a sophomore at Sandwich High.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had their last game, Thanksgiving game. Both kids were on the field. Football. They both played football. It was the last time they were going to be together.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a proud moment.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. Well, I mean, one of the things that, you mentioned the long-term relationships that you build, and one of the things that's always struck me about you is your ability to kind of connect in a very real way over a period of time. You're not too high pressure about it. And it sounds like you're building those kinds of relationships with your clients, and then they come back to you later on?
Absolutely. I've only been doing really this full service real estate since 2009, and I've already helped people sell and buy properties multiple times.
Wow,
so,
that's great.
Yeah, it's good. And I think it probably goes back to my Kodak training and my sales training, and even prior to that, I was in the food service business.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, weren't
service,
we all, right?
I know, right?
Everybody's been in the food service.
But service, someone that's in that business and enjoys it,
Yeah.
which you can only do for so long.
Yeah.
The service business is a service business, and that's basically what I am. Yes, I market. Yes, I sell. But I have to service. I have to service my buyers. I have to service my sellers. It's really a service business as well. So that's part of what I grew up with as far as in the business world.
Sure. And so when you were with ITT, was it?
No, it was called Modus MPS IT Services. It was an IT service company.
Oh, okay. All right. And you were selling, you were building long-term relationships there too.
That's correct.
And obviously having to learn a lot about the business of your customers and
Absolutely.
and figure that out. And now you work with investors. You're basically doing the same thing.
Absolutely. Business is business. It's all numbers. So it doesn't matter if I'm selling a copier and they have to make a certain amount of pennies per click when I was working with Kodak, or when I'm in the IT services trying to help them build a business and figure out their budgets for manpower, or running a food service facility. It's numbers, and it's a matter of figuring out the goals of your client, what they're trying to make, what they want to make, and what's real about the project, and what's the market gonna produce for that.
Right. Yeah. And in this market, what are the risks? Right. Everybody wants to know what are the risks. What's the potential downside?
In every market.
Sure.
In every market, I think right now there's so many properties that are distressed that there's a lot of opportunity for people to get in and buy something right. I mean, on the Cape, when I first got onto the Cape, the numbers were so crazy you could never, not never, but it was very difficult to buy something and keep it and get a cash flow. It was buy and flip, buy and flip. But now what we're seeing are people are buying homes and holding on to them and renting them. And there's a great rental market right now. And they can buy it right at today's rates and get cash flow on it, which is nice. They have to be careful. You always have to be careful, but with the right research and the right financing, you can make it happen.
So are you working with distressed properties a lot? Are you working with banks directly, or how are you engaged in that part of it?
I don't work directly with the banks. I'll work with buyers to help them buy bank loans.
Oh, okay.
But I do a lot work with distressed sellers who are in the short sale situation. When they're upside down in their house, just to give a short sale, what that means is somebody owns a home, they're struggling paying for it, and they owe more than it's worth. So by short selling it, that means that the bank is going to have to accept shorter than what's owed, a short amount of money. And I do work in that situation a lot. I do listings for people and help them through that process. I have a team, attorneys and negotiators that work directly with their lender to help it get done. And we've been very successful in helping people get from underneath the burden. And it helps them, instead of having a foreclosure, it helps them save their credit a little bit quicker.
So they start to be under pressure with the bank, and so they and the bank sort of jointly, as cooperative as that can be at that point, they make the decision, okay, we'll sell it. It's not worth what we owe on it.
Correct.
Everybody takes a little loss, and rather than go through the foreclosure process.
Correct. And it saves some of the credit for the seller instead of going to foreclosure. They can protect themselves a little bit better.
So anybody out there who's in that situation and considering that might talk to you about how to handle that.
Absolutely.
That sounds good. And then you've been bringing buyers to those deals as well, saying, hey, this is an opportunity to get into something less expensive.
Yeah, we've been able to put together some deals that surprised me.
Yeah.
But the banks need to unload the property.
I mean, ultimately, the foreclosures have got to be just horrendously expensive for the bank, right? To go through the whole process of foreclosing.
I think I've heard the number costs $60,000 to do a foreclosure for a bank.
Man, that's a no-win for anybody.
That's correct. So for them to work with the short sale process is beneficial to the bank if they can recoup at least a good portion of their money.
Okay. All right, and what's the situation on the Cape now with foreclosures? I haven't followed the numbers. Are we, in comparison with last year, are things improving, or how are we doing?
Overall, the bank-owned process, the foreclosure has slowed down. Depends who you talk to, what you're hearing, and I hate to say this because I hear that there's still a lot of inventory that's going to be coming out.
Yeah.
If you looked at the numbers, though, there are fewer on the Cape than there used to be, but I don't think that's going to stay that way.
Oh, we're going to have another wave?
I don't know. That's what I'm hearing. And what I've read is some of the research I've done is that at the higher end of the market is going to start getting hit. And the banks are holding off on that because they represent such a big ticket number.
Sure.
When we think about all the people that might be upside down and these waterfront homes or wherever they are that might be on a higher end, the bank does not want to give up on those because it represents such a large
upside down
number.
Meaning they owe more than the house is worth on the market.
Correct. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an awful situation, and ultimately foreclosure doesn't make it better. That seems to be the problem, and so I'm glad to hear that you're involved in the short sale market. I have had people talk to me about that short sale is kind of a vulture environment, and I don't see it that way. I see it as an opportunity to avoid an ugly situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's a necessary tool. I mean, it can help out a lot of homeowners that are really feeling the pain.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's anybody's fault that suddenly market values have dropped as much as they have, and so any individual homeowner or the bank for that matter. So,
yeah, and every story is different, and none of them are happy.
Yeah. 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 All right.
But that's not to say there's not a healthy market with a traditional sale.
Oh, okay.
There's still, I mean, we can't ignore that. I mean, that's the bigger part of the market, and it's still moving
I'm not sure
along.
that was the case. A couple of years ago, the bigger part of the market seemed to be the short sale and foreclosure piece.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
But now there's a lot of healthy deals going on, and you're involved in that too.
Absolutely, and it's all about exposing the property, and that's why I'm so involved with the internet, exposing the property in every way possible, but most importantly is pricing it right, and that's the hardest thing in this market. That's the difficult part because it's very difficult sometimes to find a comparable home, and to say, okay, that sold for this, so your house should sell for this. Right. It's not that easy anymore. Right. So that's one of the struggles we're all having, and what the worst thing to do is put a property on at a higher price and have to keep chasing the market down, and then no one ends up happy in that situation. So you got to do as much research up front as you can.
But you've got to have hard situations where you're going in and telling somebody, and you're trying to get their listing, and you're going in and telling them your house is worth X, and they think it's worth $50,000 more than that, based on what they thought it was worth a few years ago. And you have to be the bearer of bad news? Yes,
yes, and sometimes, and I have a hard time doing this, sometimes you have to walk away and say, I can't do this. It's not worth my time. You're not going to be happy with me.
Right.
Let's part now and stay friends.
Right.
And that's hard for everybody to do.
Sure.
Because I want it to sell, and what if someone else comes in and they're right? But in this market, it's so hard to tell.
Yeah, it's always the possibility of being wrong.
Yes, being wrong is very costly. No one wants a property sitting on the market for a long time. But again, it's difficult to compare some of these houses.
Yeah. Wow. Get your hands full.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you're spending most of your time down Cape at this point, or how are you finding your clients?
Mostly, good question. Mostly through referrals. Almost.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Congratulations. That's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The bulk of what I do is through referrals, and a lot of my internet marketing as well works for buyers.
Okay.
It works. One of the things I was afraid of coming into this business, and I used to watch my father-in-law doing it. He'd go to open houses and he'd sit there and he'd wait, throw an ad in the paper and just sit and wait for someone to come by. And that, as being a business-to-business salesperson, I could knock on doors and make phone calls and try to sell my wares.
Right.
So the idea of sitting there and just waiting for someone to come by and see my property just scared the heck out of me.
sit and read a good book at the open house.
Yeah. No, thank you. And I started doing that for a little while because I was so focused on that one product that there wasn't much else I could do. But as I got into the full scope of full service real estate, there were so many tools that I could use to go out and get the buyers.
Yeah.
And that's paying off big time. That's what is working well for us, because we're not just listing with agents where we're going to get the listing and then hope another agent's going to come by and sell it for me. We want both sides of that deal.
Sure.
So we work it hard. We market that property. We try to capture the leads for those people that are looking at that property and try to sell it to them. Mm-hmm. And more often than not, we end up selling them something else, but we are focused on trying to sell that property and bring attention to that listing.
All right.
So people see it.
And somebody that you meet in another listing will come back and buy that one.
That's correct.
Yeah. That's a good model.
Yeah.
That's a good model.
Yeah.
So what is your involvement exactly with the chamber? What are you doing with the chamber? You host this show.
Yeah, often in that seat.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I was part of the committee that put together the Sandwich Fest, which was in July. That was a blast. Yeah. That was a blast. A lot of work. The committee, fortunately, was together for many years before I joined, so they knew what to do and just told me what to do. And I put together the restaurants a lot with their help as well. But put together the restaurants and got them to participate, and it was a lot of fun. It was a great turnout. I was blown away how many people came to town to see that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful step forward, as the whole chamber has been. It's a really great step forward for the town, and you and I both have obviously been involved in a fair amount of volunteer work for the town, and that's nice to see. I had forgotten that, but I did see you because I had a booth, and so I saw you walking back and forth organizing things.
Yeah.
Seemed like you were telling people what to do, but I guess they were telling you what to do.
Exactly. We had a lot of fun. We had the football team came out to help us out, and one of them, Jamie Bousfield, who was only there for the morning shift, ended up staying. He saw that sandwich costume, and he threw that on, and he worked the whole day up and down the street. Yeah. He had people from out of town coming up, taking pictures with him. Yeah. It was a blast. He had a blast, but it was great to be part of that. I was helping out in other events that they do. There's so many things going on with the chamber. With the holidays was just amazing. What they do and how many people come to town, and the booking rooms now. There's just so much going on, and not just for the merchants, but the business community as a whole. It really helped. It's one positive organization, and I love being part of it.
Yeah. We even had a flash mob.
I missed that
at the Sandwich Fest.
That's right.
Yeah, it was great. There were probably almost 100 people. Dancing.
That's cool.
It was pretty.
Yeah,
fun.
I planned on seeing that, but I got caught up and couldn't get to it.
I planned on being on the other side of the room so I didn't have to dance, because nobody wants to watch that.
I thought you were a dance man.
No. Just the singing.
Just singing.
But all right. Well, it's been great talking to you, and I wish you luck with your business. It looks like you got a great foundation, and you got a good team behind you, and you got your family behind you, and Joe Arnao, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks very much.